Whether a baseball fan or not, there is no denying that making it to the big leagues is an extremely difficult task. Approximately 10% of NCAA players get drafted by an MLB team. And those that are fortunate enough to get drafted and start in the minor leagues, well, only 10% of those drafted players make it to the MLB. And like other sports, when you get drafted, you get a huge payday. You barely have enough to survive when you are on a minor league salary. It's eat, sleep, and dream baseball. But if you ever get far enough to get a contract and prove yourself, the MLB pays. For players overseas in Latin America, many were born into poverty. But there is one thing that would create a bond between these young men: the love for the game of baseball. Unlike in the United States, where there is state-of-the-art training facilities in which you can play all year round in whatever conditions you set the thermostat to. Not to mention the expensive equipment and opportunity to play on travel teams. These players overseas can't even afford a baseball mitt, so they use their bare hands. They don't have baseball diamonds to go to, so they go to sandlots. After practicing with bare hands and on uneven rocky sandlots, putting these players on a perfectly groomed baseball field and giving them a mitt, well, it becomes a cheat code. But that is not the controversial cheat code that these players have been doing for decades and getting away with it. You may think I am talking about performance enhancing drugs. No, although a big part of baseball, and I will talk about that in a bit, we have got to talk about players lying about their ages and even their names. And in some cases, it's the parents. It was 2001 and a kid by the name of Danny Almonte out of the Dominican Republic was becoming a phenom during his performance at the 2001 Little League World Series. He struck out 62 out of 72 batters that he faced, and he did not give up a single earned run. And he also pitched a perfect game during the tournament where his team, which was based out of the Bronx, finished in third place. MLB scouts were starting to take notice. Danny was 12 years old throwing a 76-mile-per-hour fastball. Why is that impressive? Well, because that is equivalent to throwing a 102-mile-per-hour fastball in the majors. Rumors were starting to spread that Danny Almonte was not 12 years old and his parents altered his birth certificate. His parents denied allegations, however, records don't lie, and according back to the documents from the hospital he was born at, his birth date was listed as April 7th, 1987, making him 14 years old during his dominant performance in the Little League World Series. This is a sad story due to his parents lying, and he nearly ended up in foster care due to him also not being enrolled in school. In October of 2006, he attended an MLB tryout, and there were rumors starting to buzz that he would be drafted. Unfortunately, he was not. Danny went on and played in the Frontier League, but he had a poor performance due to him allegedly being out of shape. This caused Danny to get ready for his last shot that he had when he decided he would play for West Oklahoma State College, and here is the interesting part. He had a .497 batting average with 14 home runs. He was known for being a dominant pitcher, but he found himself near the top of the league in all hitting categories, and he went 7-1 on the mound. He followed that season with a .472 batting average and 18 home runs, and he was 9-0 on the mound. That still was not enough to get drafted. He never got his name called in the draft, showing how difficult it is to make it to the big leagues. Just ask Bartolo Colon, aka Big Sexy, the 5'11", 285-pound pitcher who looked like he had no business being on the mound, let alone hitting, but he still somehow found a way to break the MLB record for the oldest player to hit their first career home run in the MLB. He played 21 total seasons with 11 different teams, becoming a fan favorite, and he also lied about his age. After the events of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, this caused an increased attention to immigration, resulting in some of the Dominican players' real ages to be revealed, and Big Sexy was one of those. However, his implications were nowhere near as bad as Fausto Carmona, because his age was not the only thing he lied about. So we go over here to Google search and type in Fausto Carmona and enter, and Roberto Hernandez pops up. So let me explain this. Fausto Carmona was a pitcher in the MLB for the Cleveland Indians organization, and he was in arguably one of the best starting pitcher rotations, if not the best in the MLB at the time. I remember CC Sabathia was their ace, Fausto Carmona, and Cliff Lee was also in the rotation. CC Sabathia won the AL Cy Young in 2007, and Fausto Carmona had a dominant year where he finished 4th in the AL Cy Young voting. Fausto Carmona was labeled as even more of a stud when he pitched in the famous Night of the Midges game versus the New York Yankees. A night where these small bugs called midges swarmed the field during the game in Cleveland at Progressive Field. Fausto Carmona handled it flawlessly, and the New York Yankees pitcher Jabba Chamberlain blew a save due to non-stop bugs flying all over the field. After the game, Fausto Carmona's teammate Ryan Garco said, "I played in the Dominican Republic with Carmona last winter, and there were bugs 10 times that size flying around that field." Fausto continued to pitch in the MLB and made the All-Star team in 2010, then things got weird. I still remember the day that this happened. A report came out that Fausto Carmona was not Fausto Carmona. He was really Roberto Hernandez. Then things got even weirder. He went to renew his visa in the Dominican Republic, and he was arrested after a woman who was falsifying documents for Hernandez did not receive a payment from him. So she went public and came out with the truth. Not only was Fausto Carmona really Roberto Hernandez, but he was also 3 years older than he had claimed to be. He got suspended from the MLB, and he did make a return to Cleveland's starting rotation, but it was just weird after that, and his career fell off and he just wasn't the same player. It also doesn't help that he all of a sudden became 3 years older on the spreadsheet overnight. He bounced around to 5 different teams before deciding to retire in 2016. Although Fausto Carmona, or Roberto Hernandez, whatever name you want to call him, has an insane story, this next guy has probably my favorite story out of anyone in this video. It is 1998 and a 17-year-old is at an MLB tryout throwing 85 miles per hour. Extremely impressive, so much so that a scout from the Houston Astros had to come up and ask the kid who he was. "My name is Enny Cabrera. I'm 17 years old." The Astros gave the kid a shot, especially because he is throwing 85 miles per hour at age 17. He has a huge ceiling for development because with the right training and his body still having time to mature, he is only going to start throwing harder. His first year in the minors, he pitched in 74 innings, putting up a 1.58 ERA, but there was one problem. There was a deep secret that Enny Cabrera had, and it was eating him alive. It was his dream to make it into the MLB, and Enny knew his secret would probably come out eventually, so he came forward and told the Astros that he is not Enny Cabrera. He is really Wandy Rodriguez. And when he was 17 years old, throwing 85 miles per hour, well, he was really 19 years old, which gave scouts a completely different perspective than they had before. Wandy thought he was going to be sent home from the team, but it was accepted by the team, and Wandy accomplished his dream of playing in the MLB and made his debut in 2005 and played 11 years in the major leagues, finishing his last season in 2015. Miguel Tejada is another player that changed his birth certificate around to make him 2 years younger, but that was not the only thing that Miguel did to stack odds in his favor. He has also been in multiple performance-enhancing drug scandals and has ended up in court. Instead of Miguel Tejada admitting that he lied about his age, he tried to defend it, and it ended up backfiring on him when he was exposed by Tom Ferry during an ESPN interview where Tom got a hold of Miguel's birth certificate from the Dominican government and handed it to Miguel Tejada after he had lied about his age. And Miguel did not appreciate Tom's comments, and he ended the interview there and walked out of the room. If you liked this video, well, obviously definitely give it a thumbs up, but click this one too, because you're going to love this one as well. See you guys in the next one.